Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Euro Trade. Just adjust the music here. I'm your host, Marcus Dean, and we're going to be looking at copper today to see whether we are seeing some opportunities here. So the first hypothesis that I have on copper is that at some point they're going to go and try to take the Asia high. Now from that point on, I have a hypothesis that we are going to see some heavy hedging around the 6 evens area. The second hypothesis is that we go to the value area from London. Now the value area from London is sitting around 591. So I'm going to put a marker. So let me just show you on the fixed profile. Let's go to a 30-minute time frame. So just this for initial power. Okay, so if I make this wider, here is what this would look like. So just below 91, use the color of that. At the moment we're just sitting above that. We still didn't wick the Asia high. Now because we only have a weak call wall sitting at 590 today, that was an orientation point yesterday, but today I wouldn't really expect that to give too much support, so I would be looking for maybe a further value acceptance. Now whether I'm in at that point or not, that would be a matter of context and time of day. ADR high is sitting at 605.26. Well, 25, because we're working in ticks of 5 increments. And to the downside, I'm looking at 580, 590 for ADR low. But the first thing is for copper to establish some sort of a range and then to also wick that Asia high. So I am probably going to try a long, if we can get a little bit more commitment to the upside. Trader Nickel says, slept through Aaron's stream for it, and so for a change, just stay awake with this one. Thank you, appreciate that. Mosley says, ready to full port. Yeah, don't full port. Don't do that. Right, let's try this GEX2 bounce to the upside. I'm gonna start with 5 micros because this is a 50k express. If it was 150, I would start with 1. And after that, we're going to see whether we can scale into this if the price starts moving above Globex VWAP, which is sitting around 596. So we need to reclaim 596. And the way I'm going to be trying to scale in will be as the 5-minute bars are making higher highs. I will be adding one. We have a bit of a gap in the volume profile, so that really needs to be closed. These gaps can sometimes cause reversals to happen, and my take profit is going to go just above this Asia high to go for that liquidity grab if we ever get back up there. But yeah, 6 evens is an orientation point for shorts for me today. If we manage to tackle 6 evens to the upside, there's room to this ADR high. But really at that point, I would be a bit careful because the next big call wall is sitting up at 6:30 today. Which would be way past the all-time high. So maybe a crazy day. However, it's the FOMC rate decision, so I think that until then we may just see some muted movement. Therefore, at the moment, I'm not going for like some big swings today. Oh, Easy Donk says, this is Michael, the guy who asked the options questions a couple of days ago. Important that you know, I'm very appreciative of your answer. Happy Fed Red Day. Yeah, happy Fed Rate Day if you celebrate. And Michael, it was a great question. Yeah. See, I like when people pose questions that are well thought of, that are well thought out. Still waking up. And yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a nice concept, the gamma levels, because it's rooted in the actual dealer hedging. It's not necessarily connected to any structures. And it makes it extremely useful for any all-time high situations, because you don't need anything to the left, right? You just need to see where the options guys and girls are positioned. Right, so I'm just going to place a rectangle to delineate this area. But yeah, during this summer day, we typically see a drop-off in volume and some sort of a range established. And today it just so happens that we have an okay range. We have copper moving already 183 ticks for the London session. So that means it's a little bit more lively than usual, and that means we could have some opportunities. The initial balance size is actually fairly normal for copper at 67 ticks. So this was the start of London, and then you measure the movement that you have during the initial balance. It's one of the things that I have crunched up for me in a little panel. So now they need to initiate above the 96 if this trade is going to have any legs. At this time I'm also watching gold and silver, how they are behaving. Gold is rolled. We didn't roll on Topstep X, so I'm seeing a lot of gaps there. So be careful if you want to trade gold. Until this rolls into April, I probably wouldn't touch it, because for all intents and purposes the previous contract has expired now. So GCJ is going to be the next one. So yeah, caution advised. And in the new April contract, we have gold moderate call wall at 5,300. We're kind of coming at it from the top side, so it could be supportive, and that would lend itself pretty well for a London session failed auction. If it doesn't hold, we're probably looking at a pullback that could be quite severe. But yeah, the reason why I'm not going into sustained auction down as a mean reversion to the London value here is because usually on most days they don't have a directional movement. We do have movement, but I need to make sure that it is in line with the expectation and statistical observations of this particular product for this time of day. Now, if this was post NY cut, so after 3 p.m., I would be going into sustained auction, but we're not, so it's pretty early. And if I get smacked in the face, so be it. At least I'm following the stats and what I know is true for this day. Alright, so April gold is touching 5,300 now. Huh, okay. So they are going into sustained auction. Interesting. I'm using a 45 tick stop. It's pretty wide, so I need to be pretty wrong for this to not work. But on the first try, when I enter a position, I do take the risk. So, you know, I don't want to get chopped up. Only if I see that there's time being spent inside the area, usually for about 90 minutes, I will then go, oh, okay, I'm probably wrong here. But again, because of the size of my stops, I really have to be wrong. So I give it a fair amount of room to wiggle around, do whatever it needs to do. And then I'll make my decision. But that first try, I absolutely take the risk. So there's no bailing, chopping, changing, trying. I've got a hypothesis, which is longs into the previous Asia high, and I stick to it. Now the longs that I have for the next area are really not anywhere until until 570 really, if we're gonna look at the weekly time frame. At least the way things look today. So if we start to go down, that will be a pretty big pullback. Because there's not much in the way, right? There's some speed bumps around 590 and 580, but really not anything else. That's why I said weak call wall. So whenever there's a weak call wall, if we get down to London value high, I might expect to see a little bit of a bounce, but ultimately this weak call wall should bleed through. The only time that wouldn't be true is let's say we get to COMEX half an hour before COMEX close and we're sitting there. At that point I may look for longs purely because of the enforced hedging that happens into COMEX settlement. But yeah, sometimes we have to take the risk and not freak out, because you have to have some sort of a bias, otherwise you're just flipping and flopping like fish out of water. Flip, flop, flip, flop. And I don't like doing that. So if I have a hypothesis at one level for one direction, I will stick to it, and I'm very stubborn, so. Looking at mental Q levels, they have the HVL all the way down to 580, but that's 0 DTs. I don't see that the 0 DTs are a big thing in copper, so that makes me a little bit a little bit reluctant to use the HVL in that way. And when I crunched up the monthly options in copper, it actually gave me an HVL of 596. Right, gold having a bit of a bounce from this, yeah, of course, it's the old contract, from 5,300 on the April contract. We don't have that yet. Trading Nickel says, when I'm not stubborn on a trade idea, it's costly. Yeah, exactly, because then you lose control and then you're not really sure what you want to do. So I think the first step of any trade idea is to have conviction in it, right? So if I have conviction that copper is at some point going to go back to wick through the 6 evens, I shouldn't be shorting in the middle here, right? I should be looking for longs that speak to that hypothesis, and then if I'm wrong, I'm just wrong. You have to accept it. You know, it's a big thing in trading. You can't just lack confidence and conviction. And being wrong in trading, if you can't handle that, maybe the job is not for you, because you'll be wrong a lot, and you just have to take it on the chin. You're like, all right, well, that didn't work, next. And this is where that idea of being more like Drew Barrymore from 50 First Dates, where she has a memory problem and she can't retain new information past a single day. That's actually a big superpower to have for traders. So if you can just reset, forget the other trade happened, and not be painted by the decisions that were made in the prior trade, that's going to serve you pretty well. But not being able to let go, chopping yourself up in the same level because you're like, well, the short was wrong, so or the long was wrong, shorts must be on. Even if they are on, if you don't have your hypothesis and it's not in your plan, I would argue that you shouldn't enter a trade because you're just wrong. So just accept it and move on to the next level. So what is below, what is above? That's why I always have hypothesis for 2 directions, and not just, hey, I want to be short today. It's like, yeah, but we're into the intraday traders. You can't just, you're not a swing trader. You're trying to outperform the market to a degree. And that means throughout the day, nothing is going to go up or down in one straight line. It's always going to have ebb and flow. So your skill should be about how good are you to identify opportunities throughout the day, and also to identify when maybe an intraday move has gone too far up or down, and whether there's a mean reversion opportunity. So once you crack that, you've got something. I'm seeing a bit of a divergence in the micros versus the big contract here in copper. You don't see that a lot. Like, you usually get a bit of a lag. So that one's alright. But this one, I think it had a few ticks difference there. Couple of ticks difference. Interesting. Right, still looking for 95 and then 96 to be reclaimed. No adding until that happens. So we're not adding on to this. And it's not going to be an add-on of another 5 micros and another 5. It's going to be adding 1 if we get the structure change, if we start to get the higher highs here. And if not, we just take the initial risk, the end. NG going down in a straight line. Yeah, I saw that. I'm seeing 350 as a potential stopping point for this particular move. We get to 350 and we're sitting in post and white cut time zone, then I may want to long it. But I did see in the options that we are in a bit of a bearish situation. I know, difficult to fathom that nat gas at this time of the year is giving us bearish outlook. Oh, I didn't put my little light on. I just realized it was a bit chaotic this morning for me because the doggy school picks up 4 of my little ones in the morning. So on Mondays they get picked up around midday, but on Wednesdays the other 4 get picked up in the morning. So they were barking, they were excited. I had to put coats on them because it's rainy and disgusting. So yeah, but I did my prep. I still did my prep. Slept well. I went to bed at 8 p.m. So still a rock star. Right, so gold and silver are kind of trying to turn around a bit. Copper is lagging behind them, which is not unusual. That happens. You can get a lag. We'll see if they can get back up to the highs of the day. Well, let's look at silver for a second. Big silver, not trading it, but looking at it for situational awareness. So yeah, definitely found a base here and it's trying to turn around. This is silver. We do have the London value high right at, let's say 112,590. But silver is too big, so I've parked it on the side. I mean, I might be able to trade it, but it requires like for example, if you want to take this range and then run along, the way I trade, I would need a stop of about at least 226, because that's what it calls for. Don't really want to do that. Right, so what's the correlation? The correlation is pretty high on copper and the other 2 metals today. And actually, I need to change my correlation to now track gold. April contract. But we still need some bullish activity on actual gold to make copper move its little bum. Trading Nickel says, yes, fundamentally natural gas isn't making sense, but a few years ago a friend longed into winter for an option swing, only to lose his shirt. Yeah, there's a reason why nat gas is called the Widowmaker, because it's relentless. Like it can go up, it can go down. I try not to fight it when I'm seeing the upside happening, but I also am very aware that nat gas can just fall like a brick without any warning or anything. Like today, let's have a look at it. I actually caught a very nice short last night. It was the average daily range high. Sorry, I'm just going through a bit of pain here. Ugh, okay. Give me a second, because I need to deal with that. The wave of pain is past. Just random aches and pains that come with my disease. It's great. Yeah, so I had the ADR high yesterday, sitting right around 390 on nat gas, and I was chatting to one of my gold members, and I said, yeah, I want to see. So first thing is, because of time of day, as we got into the last hour before NYMEX closed, I was like, okay, well, let me see if 385 holds. And then it didn't hold, and I'm like, all right, well, now we're aiming for ADR high, and let's see if that holds. And half an hour before NYMEX settlement, we got this. So I entered. Obviously a bit of consolidation there, perfectly normal, especially in slightly bullish days. And then this happened. So I took this all the way down to VWAP, which took a bit of time because it happened kind of after hours. But it was still fairly regular sort of neutral day fade from ADR high. So that worked out very nicely for the correct time of day. And those kinds of trades into settlement, they are the ones that made my career. Just fading them. That's very sweet. Alright, so let's put some levels on natural gas as well, just see what we're doing. I think we're getting close to the ADR low here, which is slightly lower, 58. Yeah, so and because that's about to exceed super early in the day, I don't think that's normal. So I would be definitely waiting for 350 here. And 350, it's not like a mega call wall, but it is a moderate call wall. So it's big enough to stop the price moving. Maybe it overshoots a little and then reclaims it. So remember, all of these are zones. They're not like, oh, it has to touch just, 350 and then bounce. No, it can bleed through it, then reclaim it, reverse, keep going the other way. But yeah, 350 would be the level that I'm watching. Now volatility is rising in nat gas. Let's have a look at implied volatility. So implied volatility for copper is stable, so we haven't really made any changes there. Implied volatility for silver is rising. That went up since yesterday, but strangely, the previous day, the one there was a pullback, the volatility did not rise. It actually fell a little bit, not by much. But yeah, it's crazy to see, man. Just silver is an absolute monster these days. Trading Nickel says that year he quit trading after losing 50k, or maybe it was over a few years. Either way, even though he has a lot of silver, he's still not made it back all these years later. Yeah, that's what options can do. You get it wrong. And I'm guessing he was probably doing some short options. Because if you have a long option, then the risk is defined to the premium that you paid. So it shouldn't should have predefined risk, right? And again, it's all down to risk. How much are you risking? There are obviously risky options like shorting things in the hole and then expecting. And every time you do an options trade, you have a break-even point, and it's a lot. You need a pretty big move to actually cover that initial break-even. So it's definitely not, unless you're expecting some sort of unwinding day, it's not a very good idea to pop in a 0 DTE without the implied volatility being pretty high, because then you're not going to have enough movement. So again, I would argue that it was a little bit of lack of preparation on his part, and then expecting that it's all just going to be easy. Trading is not easy. It's never been easy. So yeah. Trade Nicholas says gold having to move to get copper going. To move is bum. Yeah, so in the UK we call the bottom bum, and I thought it was pretty cute when I first moved here. Oh, you little bum. But yeah, we definitely need some gold initiation to the upside, even though 5300 held. So I'm just going to show you here. Gold is in a chop zone at the moment, and I'm doing this because we don't have the April contract, and the previous contract is completely useless. So here's what I've got. So we bounced. Now the big... Sorry. We have a big watchdog, 7, who's decided to bark. And then this one is Lazy, the one in the back that you just heard barking. I'm so sorry. She's very loud. We call her potty mouth. But she's lazy. She will bark, but she won't actually go and do something. She won't go and sniff it out or go outside. See whether... Ooh, some sweeps in copper. Okay, well this might be something to move it. But yeah, so looking for the return to high of day. Again, I've crunched the 50 strikes up and down. This morning, it gave me a gamma flip right in the middle here. So this is an entire chop zone. But yeah, if 5300 doesn't work, then I will stay out for the rest of this morning. Because right now the volume has died and they're not doing anything with it. It's just stuck. Which is what we see on most London days. Silver is already in range. Look at it. But yeah, so we take the risk on the first attempt and just leave it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's absolutely fine. You don't go into an emotional dysregulation because you were wrong once. You just go, okay, didn't work. Next. And then you look through your hypos and you go, what was I thinking here? What's the next one? You don't dwell on the one that didn't work. You look to the future and you try and stay positive whilst doing it. If you were watching Robin Dane yesterday, she's just such a no-nonsense person. I love her. She's worked with a lot of hedge funds and worked for Tudor Investments as a coach and psychological guide. And she's amazing. Like, she just doesn't... She was talking about how words that you're using are painting the picture of how your brain thinks. So if you're constantly being self-deprecating and you are not very kind to yourself and you're saying things like, oh, I'm stupid, how could I do this, and blah, blah, that is what the brain takes, and then it makes you do more of that. It's funny how our brains work, isn't it? And yet, if you focus on the positives, you will first and foremost believe that you can change, and nothing is impossible. See, I'm somebody who's a little bit odd. I've been an eternal optimist my entire life, to the point of lunacy. Like, I did a lot of things in my life that seemed impossible, and one of them was when I was 4 years old. I was into gymnastics because I'm from former Yugoslavia, right? And you know, gymnastics was a big thing for young girls. And I was very bouncy. I had a lot of energy. You know, it was made of rubber, seemingly. And I started going to gymnastics classes. And then eventually I decided at 5 years of age that I wanted to do the Olympics at some point. It didn't quite happen for a variety of reasons, but I did get into the Olympic team by the time I was 9. And when I said, I wanted to do that, everybody around me, every single person, they were like, that's impossible. Really? You can do that? And I'm like, well, yeah, you just keep talking, mate. And I'll just do what I do. And it doesn't matter how many people around me told me that it's not possible. Be quiet, Astrid. Thank you. I still stuck to my guns. I was training 8 hours a day like an idiot. Like I was a child, right? But I was always so driven. And in the end, I got into the Olympics and we were training. Unfortunately, when I was 10, 11, we started having the civil wars. There was embargo. The funding went for a whole bunch of state-funded activities. And then at 13, I messed up my knee. It popped out and it never really healed properly. And because of those two factors, my dreams of being in the Olympics never came true. But if the country was still there, I would have done everything in my power to make it happen. So was it impossible? Yeah, for some people. But to me, it seemed very possible. I was one of 6 girls training in the Olympics team. So then the next one was me becoming a session musician, even though my father was a pretty famous rock star in my country. My mom was like, yeah, that's like it's an impossible thing, it's a very difficult life and you'll never make it. Guess what? I got into a really famous band when I was probably 16, 17. And then we did gigs all over the place. We were on TV and so I was like, impossible? Yes, for some people. And then I moved to the UK and again my mom was like, do you know how difficult it is for foreign people to be session musicians in foreign countries? It's never happened. No person has done that from our country. And I'm like, yeah. And then after a few years, I get a gig with Rod Stewart. So, So for me, doing the impossible has always been kind of a part of almost like sticking it up to the people who told me I can't do it. Is it stubbornness, optimism, and sheer lunacy all rolled into one? Probably. So whenever I'm doing a trade, and whenever it sort of goes into a drawdown, I stick to my guns. I'm like, you know what? This is still fine. Like, it's fine. And so what's the worst thing that can happen? Oh, I lose $350. Oh, boo-hoo. Whatever. And what's the upside? What can happen if this does work? Well, it goes above 96. I scale in maybe 3 times because obviously I'm starting with a position of 5, not a position of 10. So scaling in can only happen 3 times on 1 micro to not mess up the average of this position too much. And anything else doesn't matter to me. It's like, whatever. I have my stop that is based on a volatility of the product at the moment. So I'm not nitpicking on stops. It's like, because it's trading P&L, right? So if you're going, I can only use 15 ticks here because, I can't lose, there's that word again, can't lose more than X, Y, Z amount. And I'm like, no, 5 micros and I can lose 350, 367, whatever this risk is. Oh, it's not even that, it's 281. That's cheap. That's cheap. But yeah, usually I will use the risk of up to sort of 360, 370 on smaller XFAs. And by the way, I'm flying solo today because Bruno had some personal stuff to take care of. So I have no moderator. Did you fall a lot doing flips and somersaults? I didn't fall at all. In fact, in all the years that I've been training, I've only fallen once, and it was off the bars. My hands were not, I didn't do the magnesium before jumping onto the bars, and I went to do a flip and my hands just came off. So I flew through like the majority of the big sort of gymnasium room. And I did hit my head. It did hurt, but there were no lasting effects. So yeah, only once. Otherwise, that was actually pretty good. Any kind of falling might be a balance thing. You know, it's normal to try a flip and then to sort of lose a bit of balance on the beam, but it's not. You don't, like, the whole point is you are taught how to fall in the beginning. So if you do fall, they teach you how to do it without hurting yourself. So you know how to put your body in a certain position. And it's useful, you know, certainly useful when I fell down the stairs not too long ago in the old house. Oh my God, I'm so happy I don't have stairs anymore. This is all single story. I can just glide through the house, no problem. Good morning, Sandy. Good to see you here. Bruno is not here. Like I said, he had some personal stuff to take care of. So, yeah. Yeah, so Sandy was, she's older than me. She's 10 years older. And, yeah, and it was probably a bit frustrating for Sandy to see this annoying little person that's seemingly good about everything. I'm sorry, my big sis. But yeah, you know how I am. I never do anything halfway, and I'm stubborn as hell. Everybody says, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, watch me. Yeah, watch me. Watch me do it. Sing us a song, grab your guitar. So the guitar is now supporting Bob over there. And I'll be honest, I haven't played for years, so my calluses are completely gone. That would be very painful. I am planning to hook up Bob onto the wall, because I think we've got him in the right position. Bob is the chameleon. He's got a name. Alright, this has just died a death, man. Yeah, I can't wait until we move the show, because this is just ridiculous. Like, it's just going sideways. There's nothing going on. Am I using my ZenBook Duo setup? Not in the main office. So this office is set up with a desktop computer, 5 reasonably sized screens, an FX3 camera, which is what I'm talking from, 2 Elgato lights, and then, you know, obviously the things in the background. But I don't like trading from laptops unless I'm traveling. So if I'm going to visit my mom, or I have to be in London for the day, I will take my ZenBook Duo, and that will be my setup. So that's an awesome, and I have a little LED light that I kind of hook up onto it for the streaming purposes. And it works well. But when I'm in my main office, I like to have the dexterity of a mouse and, you know, keyboard, and not messing around with weird laptop stuff. I know some people like trading from laptops, but, you know, bear in mind that I look at asset classes across the board. That's very difficult to do when you don't have like 5-6 screens. Because I'm trying to track how, like, for example, now gold, silver, and copper are doing. And you would have to like smush all of that on the same screen, or maybe across a couple of screens. Then also we have the streams, right? So I have the OBS, then when I'm on the main daytime show, I will also have Slack open. We have the vMix, which is the software they use to broadcast. So you have to share the charts, so that's another screen. It's a lot, right? So you always struggle for a bit of screen real estate. Right, so they're not really doing anything, they're just chopping in the range. I'm going to commit to this, so I'm not going to clip it off early. But yeah, it's all just gone dead. This is the FOMC day. If you do trade today, try not to dig too big of a hole. So a little hole is alright. I will be on group coaching again today, and we'll see what the day brings. But yeah, maybe I'll do nat gas, because nat gas is not really that sensitive to the FOMC rate decision. Everything else, I would argue that it is, even though copper, so and so, like it's very heavily connected to the inflation, so it might be something to consider. Can you, or someone please explain how I can have two different symbols on two different charts? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so at the top where these bars are, so you get the name, you got time frame, candlesticks, indicators, preferences, add chart link, undo, redo, and then you get to this select layout button. If you click that, the default that they have you on is this. But if you want to have double, treble, quadruple, 100 charts, you need to pick the layout that will allow you to do so. So right now I have this layout, which is 2 side by side, and they are separate. So you can change this to whatever you want. And the one on the left will stay. Oh, look at that perfect bounce from the ADR low. Thanks, yes. Shame it's the wrong time of day for me. But yeah, ADR's working as intended. Just wasn't really on my radar this early on. How much would that need? I can just about catch this with a 45 tick stop. You know what? Let's do... That's so annoying. Okay, so let's do nat gas, right? I'm going to leave this and let's do it into 3 layouts. Three charts. Hey. Why? Because I want to do micros on nat gas. Changing the dome as well. Doomly doom. Going into 5 nat gas trades on the account that we bounced, and I'm only looking for retrace up to VWAP, so 370. That's also the next call wall. So let's see if they actually have some juice here in this reversal. Yeah, really should have been in from like 359, but didn't see it in time. I was talking. It wasn't really on my radar, I'll be honest. I was expecting it later on. But yeah, London ADR low, or ADR low was reached during London, and they're nicely bouncing from it. So let's see if they get some juice. And I'm going to keep this to a 30-minute time frame, because at this point we are not going to be nitpicking on low time frames since we have an entry. And I won't be adding to this. It's just going to be 5 micros, the end. Yeah, but yeah, this is I'm now aware that this is a later entry, and I'm still using the appropriate stop size. Actually, usually I use 55, but whatever. We shouldn't return to the ADR low, so we'll see. We should not return. Alright, so let's see. Would you recommend not to trade current GC contracts on Topstep until rollover? 100%. I mean, look at it. Where are the contracts? Like the order book is empty. This is your current price. So no, absolutely. So actually, yes, absolutely don't trade until they roll over to the April contract. And I know it's annoying. They kind of forget the rollover a lot of the times. Right, 7 minutes until the 30-minute close here. So let's see what happens. Let me catch up on chat. Now remember, I'm on my own today, so yeah. Right. Trade Nickel says I sometimes give Gemini hundreds of trades, and it said that I was a high conviction trader, wide stops and large wins. Yeah, that's good. I'm a little bit suspicious of the AI's ability to criticize unless you specifically tell it to. It tries to be too nice. So whatever you say to it and whatever you ask it to do, it's like, oh, you're a very good trader. Oh my God, you're a very high level. So I usually just tell it to stop with the compliments and just to focus on data. If you've watched Pluribus, a new show, that is all about AI sort of thing, even though it's like wrapped up in an alien invasion that does the body snatching of the entire human race apart from like 13 people. But that's exactly it. It wants to please, and I find it very annoying. Whenever I'm super frustrated with it because it starts doing stupid things, it goes, the user is extremely frustrated. I need to have a look at it and try and solve it. It's like, don't try and solve it. You've annoyed me. I asked you to look at data. You looked at wrong data and started making shit up. So. Master Sergeant Howard, good morning, good morning. Yes. Joe says, if possible, could you explain the thought process behind the long? You might have explained the join late. Yeah, so I'm still looking for a wick above the Asia high, because that's what usually happens, and we haven't had that yet. So if I go to the copper chart here for a second. Established Asia high. In and around 3:25 a.m. my time. Came close to it, but never wicked it. And then still the same. So my first idea was that we're going to be range bound, which is what happens most days. Obviously not today, but hey. And that they go and take effectively the stops that are sitting right above that. So that was the idea. Didn't work. So now the next one I'm looking for is what they want to do much lower. So one other hypothesis that I might have is that we go back to VWAP and then we reject downwards. That would change my outlook to shorts. But at the moment, I don't have a setup. So, if this just keeps going down, maybe a value acceptance after a bit of a bounce from a weak call wall. So we go down to a weak call wall, have a bit of bounce, maybe smack into Asia low, and then keep going down. So value acceptance via a pullback once it's already in force is the next hypo. So yeah, nothing more the way this looks right now. So that was the idea. And today, they just didn't do it. Even though gold is still holding 5,300 on the April contract. So copper has a mind of its own right now. And next. Okay, Michael says, if we have a dynamic day of price action, could studying the dealer's hedging be even more important at or around COMEX close? Yes, because the hedging will happen like 70% of the days. Now, obviously not every single day. Like if you have some crazy day to the downside or upside that is caused by the unwinding of the positions from the institutional players, then yeah, that's going to be terrible because and you don't see much of a hedge. The hedge is like either non-existent or they unwind even more. So it's like the gamma negative state. But yeah, so usually time of day matching up with, like for example, what I did in that gas last night. Had a level. came to the last hour of NYMEX. And then they hit 390, which was a decent sized call wall. And they ran it back down to VWAP. And then further, obviously I was asleep for this, but yeah. And now we get to the 8-year low. We're trying to bounce. Sadly, there's a weaker setup on the account that we don't really have a good options level here. So whilst I'm expecting a bounce, I'm not expecting it to go all the way past VWAP. So just basically bouncing it from 8-year low to the next call wall. So let's see if this one ends in a bullish engulfing. I don't really like trading energies for this time of day, but that's the only thing I have moving. And my stats for the London session, unless it's DAX, they're not that great. Okay, so just wanted to put that out there. When it comes to these sort of products, I really start seeing the statistical probability events that have high relevance from my midday, so in and around the silver fix time. Anything before then to me tends to be a bit random and lacking in volume, but once 12 o'clock strikes, that's where I start looking at things. I may not enter a position immediately because a lot of the times for the CME products like precious metals, energies, my highest probability trades are actually into the settlement times. They're not into beginning of London times. I was never, and again, because of DAX, we were supposed to do these things, but now I'm kind of stuck trading London without DAX, and I still look at it in the back, and I will still try to find positions there, but it gets very hard when I have to do the streams and focus on multiple other products. So yeah. Right, ending the TPO here. Let's just extend that. Let me have a look at the tape here because I haven't done that. Right, negative delta in nat gas, not surprising. Let's see what they want to do. We have pretty strong consecutive bars to the upside. Then D enters and they're like, yeah, we can stop now. Like, nah. But yeah, again, ADR low reversal. I would argue that my stop here is not that great. So yeah, you know what? I want to get it sub in this area here. And this is a sort of a newish XFA. I'm leaving the one from yesterday's trading to chill for a day. But yeah, so let's just see, because I don't like when my stops are very close to the lows or above the lows, because those can always get retested and it gets really annoying when I'm right, but I get wicked out because I was nitpicking on stops. Really annoying. Just have a look at some of the less relevant options, because I have the big sort of anchors, but it's very possible that there's something else in here. Yeah, there's a minor options level at 360. Sort of have a bit of a demand area as well. If I scan to the left, it's not the biggest quality, it's more like a rally-based rally, and I don't necessarily like using that. But where it consolidated was around here. So that could also be this bounce point. We just need commitment now. We need volume. There's a little bit of volume kicking up. Okay. So now I have that as a visual reference. How can I get level 2 data on Topstep? You have to pay for it, and you will go into add-ons on the new dashboard. Now I'm on the new dashboard, so I know where to find it. But in the old, if you're on the legacy dashboard, even though I don't think that anyone is anymore, then that was in billing section, but now it's in add-ons, and you can add on level 2. I think it costs, don't quote me on this because it's just like one of those things that I pay for. I don't even track the price. Like when I bought it, it was $39, but I think it's now $49. And that has nothing to do with Topstep. You're paying through Topstep, but you're actually paying the CME directly. So they just pass over the fees. They don't take a cut. They don't do anything. They just pass it through. And then you get the full level 2 data. On some of the smaller products, not smaller, but less popular products, let's put it that way, you will only get 10 prices. On some of the more popular products like NASDAQ, ES, Crude Oil, and they will give you 100 prices up and down. So, pretty handy. But just know that if you've not used level 2 data before, it takes a long time to figure it out. So, it took me, I stayed away from it for a really long time. I was just looking at the DOM and time and sales, and I could figure out what's happening, but it wasn't really clear in my head until we started getting Bookmap in a visual situation type, cartoonish manner. And then I'm like, oh, I see. And, having heat maps and seeing sweeps that already happened is a historical event. That was very important to me, so. Right, checking chat again. Jeremy says, I've had tremendous success managing risk by using MACD and RSI with specific regard to divergence, yet I never heard any of the coaches ever mention it. Thoughts? It's because we're all into real-time auctions and order flow. Very few coaches will use lagging indicators when we can already see what's going on. Like if you're looking for a divergence, delta divergence, cumulative delta divergence between price and current development is probably one of the strongest signals that will appear way before RSI and MACD, either of them show you that there is a divergence. So we tend to focus on the auction process, time and sales, all of that. And we're all, coming from that world where we were watching these tools get developed. But initially it was all just like when you used to sign up in the past to, let's say you got a funded account, you're signing up to a new platform, which usually was CQG in a lot of cases. You would just get this. So you would sign up for several products. Let's say I have about 5 of them. And there will be no charts, so none of this. And all you would see will be this, just the domes. And you'd be like, what is this? And then you would realize that you have to learn to read the dome because that's how things used to be. If you saw some interviews with Tom Sosnoff, they were creating tasty trades and they didn't even have a charting platform. And no one from 20-30 people that they hired thought it was weird because they came from the professional world where charts were not used. You used data, you used tickers, you used DOM, you used time and sales. But, the charts thing is a very, very recent thing. Looking in the grand scheme of the trading world in general. But yeah, this is what you used to get. And then if you wanted a chart package, you would have to pay an arm and a leg extra to get the charting as well. And if you wanted market profile on it, that at one point costs like $500 a month. And this was still the case when I first joined Topstep in like 2015. So you had to pay $500 a month as a subscription ongoing to get the market profile. And now people are moaning about, you know, a few extra costs here and there. It's like, oh, I don't want to pay for mentor Q because it's $50 a month. Like, you've just paid thousands and thousands in, you know, in combines and resets and back to funded and everything. And you're nitpicking over a tool that might actually help you. Just false economy through and through, man. So, you know, I have beef with people who don't want to pay for services that will make a huge difference to what they're doing at the moment. But they will pay for a bunch of combines because, you know, that makes sense. Susu Bear says, what happened to the Neuro Wednesdays with Jerome? Yeah, so I spoke about this very briefly. Unfortunately, our friend Jerome got caught hedging. And it wasn't just one person, it was a group of them. I was very surprised, shocked, and disappointed, obviously, because I thought we had something going. But no, he took the route of hedging between accounts and hedging with other people. And that's not okay. So obviously, Neuro Wednesdays are not a thing right now. It's a shame. I think it was a great segment that everybody benefited from. What did I just delete there? Hold on. I don't know. I deleted some lines that were there for whatever reason. So, Topski says, do you looking at the NG options chain for 0DT? It seems there's a high put volume and open interest is 3.4. Yeah, there is a high put, but 3.5 is the moderate call wall. I don't just, okay, so let me clarify this. I don't just look at whether there's high open interest at a particular strike. I also look at the implied volatility per strike. So I look at the implied volatility as a whole to see whether we are rising, falling, or we're stable. But then I also look at whether the implied volatility at that particular strike that has a lot of open interest is also high. And that's how I will classify weak, moderate, or mega level. So the mega levels become anchors, moderate ones become speed bumps, so sort of hedging if the time of day is right and the context on the day is right. And finally, the weak ones, I expect them to break. So, yeah. So 3.4, and also 0DTs are a little tricky in that gas. They're just not really that important, nor will people be rushing into a 1 or 0 day option expiry on that gas. That's a play that you can use on NQ, ES, Nvidia, Tesla, you know, somewhere where you know that you can get a lot of movement. But nat gas probably not that hot on 0DTs. And like the way I look at nat gas, if you're trading nat gas, most people who are in it, they have to be in it. They're either users or the producers, with very few speculators in there. And especially at times when we have some macro side going on. So I don't think that the retail approaches of, yeah, let's do a 0DT. And here's the problem. If this is all the movement you're going to get on the day in nat gas, because we've had a very, very lively London and Asia, that's immediately an outlier, and it's probably because of the rate decision today. Probably, right? They are trying to to just unwind some positions ahead of the big release that may have an effect on the overall macro relationship of natural gas versus interest rates versus all that good stuff, right? So the zero DTEs are generally not a thing in nat gas or in most energies. Because if you, like I said, if you get stuck where you are and it just goes sideways, the zero DT is then worthless and you will lose money on it because there will be not enough movement, not enough volume in order for them to bring it back to a level that is supposed to be at in order for you to profit from it. Maybe, maybe if you do like a market neutral thing. So maybe you define a range and then you decide that you're just going to stay and pick up some premiums, to collect premiums, so write an option. But that's very risky because then if nat gas goes the wrong way, then you lose your everything. So very, very tricky. Was the hedging between Topstep accounts or between Topstep and other prop firm accounts? It was between Topstep accounts. And I don't know, probably other prop firms as well, but we don't have data for that, so yeah. Yeah, iron condors, butterflies, but again, if it's zero DTs, you just won't have enough movement on most days. It's just not statistically what happens in nat gas. And also don't forget that nat gas is a product that settles early, right? So we settle whole 90 minutes before the actual electronic trading closes. All right, guys, we're not really getting any initiation here. It's really annoying. So I'm just going to kill this trade and wait until... Oh, no, now it's going to move. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe not. There's some life. I was just seeing tape move. They just kicked it up a little bit. Somebody's absorbing. Somebody's trying to absorb 360. Yeah. Why do I say that? Because this is an equal bubble, equal sized bubble. Bubble, bubble. But yeah, just as I was about to close it, it was like life detected. And now they're starting to build a little bit of thing here. Now this can sometimes be a precursor to a sweep and then a reverse. But we'll see what they want. All right, here we go. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Welcome to the party. Who gave you an espresso? Come on, I guess. Make a move. So yeah, I literally was about to exit because it was just like all steady, calm, nothing. And I always have Bookmap on that screen, so it's always in like the corner of my eye. And just as I was going to close, they went, you know, the wiggle that Dolby talks about. That's the increase in price velocity in a very short sort of nanoseconds time. That's the wiggle. And it usually precedes a larger move. So when you see that, it's either going to be a sweep, then a reversal, or they're just going to carry on whatever they started earlier. So, yeah. Ugh, and look at this copper now, also. But yeah, not touching copper until later. This nat gas, we'll see what we can do. Oh, God. Bit of a yawn there. So sorry. Should put my hand across my mouth. We're getting comfortable. What's that chart? The 99 balloons. Yeah. It's, I call them the big balls. It's Bookmap. Bookmap. I always have it connected to a random SIM account so that I have data on it. And yeah, it's Bookmap. Bookmappy. And also because I like the connection, very simplistic connection between TraderBait and Bookmap. So you just log into the account and it just runs. The Ninja one, the Ninja plugin, it's so annoying because you have to put the plugin on the chart, and then every time you change the time frame, Bookmap freaks out. and goes, oh, we've lost data, and it annoyed me. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna designate like an eval that keeps going, and I use it for data solely. All right, so delta is following, so you can see that we're still very negative on the day, but as the prices are moving, delta is following, so no delta divergence. I think I'm bearish divergence. So we'll see whether this has legs. ADR low, very good location. Bit early, but hey, nat gas has been moving for this time of day. So yeah, the idea is that we're gonna get a run before NYMEX, all the way up to 370, and then maybe a fade. So, you know, nat gas is bearish until 350 for me. The only caveat here is that we've had the bounce from ADR low. So, and whenever I see ADR low and a reaction from it, you know I'm taking that. Because those are the strongest setups that I have. They're like super high probability on a lot of the days. I did a YouTube video on that, so feel free to check out my Market Stalkers channel, which is my community and my channel. Hence Market Stalker D name. My olden cavalier is woken up and is coughing because he's got a massive heart condition, but he's on good meds. We're fine. Hi, do you for scalper? Do you advise scalpers to get Bookmap? I think everyone should have Bookmap, regardless whether you're a scalper or not. I'm not a scalper. I find it very useful. Let me just let the cavalier out because he wants out. Yeah, I hit the music playlist instead of the camera there, but okay. So, where was I? Yeah, so Bookmap. I think everybody should have Bookmap. It's such a great tool to learn order flow, real time. Now, obviously, profile is order flow as well. It's the auction process, but this is like time and sales, but better. Let's put it that way. And in my pro dev course, I actually have a whole lecture that explains how to use it, how to read it, what to look for, what it means. What does it mean? What does it mean? And it's a useful tool, but it takes time. It's not going to be like, oh, you get Bookmap, now you're profitable and you're smashing it. It's a tool to be used wisely. Primary Range TV says, so far I'm using many cumulative volume delta and mental Q. Would level 2 be a good addition to my momentum-based strategy? Yeah, you can see momentums really easily on Bookmap. When they start plowing in, don't think we're going to get that here now, but what typically tends to happen is that you get a sweep, and they do have sweep indicators, so I have that on, and then they reverse it. This is all a bit muted now. So they reverse it, and then suddenly you start seeing consecutive green bubbles, and they just start running it up vertically. So kind of like what we had. Let's see if I can go a little more granular here on this. So you're looking for a vertical rise or a fall. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here is the drop. This is natural gas. The drop. Look at how close together and vertical the bubbles are. So they're not distributed over time. They are smacking it lower really quickly. So that is the post wiggle that Dolby talks about. And you usually get this like a nervous pop. Is it somebody like flicked the switch and they're like, oh, okay, now what are we doing now? And they're like, okay, let's go. The sweeps don't always go in the opposite direction. In silver, you will frequently see sweeps along with the trend. So they're going up, and then some people see a sweep and they're like, right, I'm going in for a reversal. Don't do that, because a sweep in silver to the upside, it just means that they're sweeping it even higher, and just don't fight that. But in most cases, if you're near, like let's say I'm looking at this copper and we get to near Asia low, and for some reason they actually hold below this, they hold above the call wall at 590. So they would sweep it below, so sweep, very quick sweep, and then they take it back outside of the value outside the call wall and back into the Asia range. That would be a decent reversal, and then you see them vertically going to the opposite side, all in like green bars, consecutive green bars. So it's not just one, you need consecutive bars. So look at all of the Bookmap events and any kind of real-time order flow events in sequence, not as like an isolated event. So whenever something happens, you see an event, see absorption, so those big bubbles that are even, always ask yourself, so what happens next? You see a sweep, also ask the question, so what's happening now? What are they going to do now? So anytime you start to look at the market and order flow and everything in such a critical way, things become a little bit less scary. And you know, the problem with this time of day is that generally volume is low. So one of the problems that I have is like, oh, I saw an event and then nothing. And I hate that. Frankly, it's one of my mental triggers where, you know, I have a setup, but they're just not, they're not initiating. The follow through is like, meh. So when that's happening, I have to be pretty careful. I either have to walk away and not actually look at the chart, and then come back after like 30 minutes, an hour, just find something else to do, play video games, walk dogs, like anything just to keep me away. And then if the trade is still there, I'm like, okay, well that works, but bloody hell, it took it forever. You know, I would probably lose my mind if I stayed in a swing trade and looked at it tick for tick. That would be crazy. Alright, we've got 5 minutes left, guys, so I'm going to finish it up in 5 minutes. I like fixing cars. My dad was really into that when he was younger. Then he got old and then he couldn't really move properly anymore, so he stopped. But yeah, he never had like a new car. I think one year they got a new car, but that was a stretch. Most of the times he would have like old Volvos and then various vans. He had a bus at one point. It was a tour bus for his band. So yeah, and he was always tinkering and doing stuff. It's a good way to be outside for sure. I like hanging with the dogs, walking. Sometimes if my energy is okay and if I'm having a good day, energy-wise, I mean health-wise, I go and do some gardening. Not like flowers and shit, but like, you know, picking up leaves, maybe dealing with the weeds, you know, just to get in touch with the nature. And we have a beautiful large garden around the back. We have 4 oak trees. And it's a big space, so it takes a lot of work. However, every so often we do get a gardener because it's just easier. But my husband does have a lawnmower, so he's out there sometimes. But yeah, if we're just too busy, because we're both busy people, then we just get a gardener in. So I think they were actually on the stream a couple times because my husband tried to get them in. They tried to get them in outside of the stream time, and they couldn't do it, so they had to do it here. And as I was doing the stream, they were just like, meh, like making noise on the back, and one of them was walking around there, and so it was all quite funny. Take a look at vibration healing. Listen, I've tried everything. I've tried sound healing, vibration healing, nothing worked. It's basically like if somebody has a more visible illness like cancer or something, you wouldn't tell them, hey, have you tried vibration healing? No, you would tell them to go and get bloody chemo, right? Now, the problem with my illness is that it's still a mystery thing because nobody knows why these things happen. It was, with me, a result of vaccine injury and then shingles not being treated on time because doctors didn't give a damn. So it destroyed my autonomic nervous system. The only thing that showed up ever on tests would be my T cells that were looking terrible. They're basically like T cells of a very, very sick person. Everything else comes back completely normal. So that's great. Because the doctors just go, but it's come back normal. Your CRP is normal. Everything's normal. And I'm like in excruciating amounts of pain. I'm dizzy. I can't stand up. I'm tired all the time. It's like, what are you guys looking at? Like, obviously, this is not going to be on normal tests. So, I've tried all of the natural stuff. I've tried supplements. I've spent so much money on like holistic alternative treatments that should help. Most of them did absolutely nothing. So. The only promising treatment right now is the antibodies through the IV. You can get it subcutaneously as well because some people react to the IV side of things. And the GPCR auto antibodies because it looks like it's some sort of a new autoimmune condition that they don't have metrics for or telemetry for. But yeah, Germany is doing some really good stuff. I can't move to Germany for 6 months, a year because I've got things here and I've got dogs and everything, so that's not very feasible. But maybe once it comes here, maybe we'll get a chance to try out the apheresis, which is very invasive. But the IVIG, like the antibodies transfusion, that's promising. So that's something that I'm looking to try very, very soon. But yeah, it's annoying. More than anything, chronic illnesses is just annoying because you want to do stuff. I want to do stuff. I'm a driven person, and then you do something and you're like, oh, that's right. My body just gave up today. And I fought so hard in the beginning. I'm like, I'm just gonna push through it, and then I got even more sick. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not working. So now D, the one who pushes through everything, she has to like not push and pipe down. All right, so we have some buyers stepping in this natural gas. So I'm just gonna spend a couple more minutes here with you. Rakia heals everything. Yeah, so I've heard. And to be fair, you will laugh because it's a certain central nervous system depressant. Whenever I'm feeling really bad, I will have either a shot of whiskey that is a Japanese whiskey, amazing stuff. It's like 50% proof, crazy strong, but oh my god, so tasty. And I just have to have one shot, just one shot. Alternatively, 2 Korean plum wines, two little shots, because that's like the equal amount of alcohol. And it actually helps me. Like it's the reason why I can stay functional through social events. That's my alcohol is a superpower. Not that I'm saying that everybody should be drinking, because when I do it, I stick to tiny amounts. It's like medicinal. That's the only thing that's like confidently works to give me some energy back. So it's true, rakia heals everything. If you don't know what rakia is, it's like a very strong Serbian spirit. Very strong, like we're talking, I don't know, what, 60-70% alcohol? Crazy. And it's a very, very popular thing. You have Slivovica, which is also a very good one. So it's like a plum brandy sort of thing. Again, very tasty, very strong. Serbian way. Yeah, it's quite funny. Drop Hope says, still haven't had that Japanese whiskey. Yeah, so my favorite one is called Nika from the Barrel, but it's the no, it's just called Nika from the Barrel. Yeah, if you haven't tried it, like it's like smells and tastes of honey. So I don't know what they do to it, but it's not like the other whiskeys. Like if you have see, Glenlivet is alright, but I always find that it's got a weird sort of aftertaste because of the how they process it, I guess. Whereas the Japanese one's super clean, super clean. Come on now, gas buyers, where the hell are you? He's getting annoyed now. Like, come on, come on. Like I just need the pop to view up. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for an arm and a leg. I'm just looking for a bit of initiation in the right direction. Now they've stopped. So you see now the tape. Nothing, right? It's like, come on, what are you doing? And this is what annoys me about this time of day. This is why I'm not a huge fan of trading anything apart from DAX for this time of day, because DAX is very lively and on most days at this time of day, because London is its main session, right? And everything else, it takes forever. So you have to have strong conviction or basically stay out. That's your two options there. Anyways, I'm gonna finish it here. It's FOMC day. Let's see what they want to do with it. You will see me on group coaching a little bit later. In the meantime, if you're gonna dig a hole or trade today before the Fed rate, try not to make the hole massive. So you don't want to be doing that on a Fed rate day. It's not worth it. We have many things to trade, many hours, and in your lifetime as a trader, you will be doing 1,000 more trades. So one day will make no difference, and that's all I have for you. All right, I'll see you all a bit later on. Have fun. Let's see what the Fed does with the rates. I'll see you later. Goodbye.